Sisters and brothers, we exist in an ecosystem that is without doubt constantly susceptible to natural disasters. In the Caribbean region, we have what is called the hurricane season. These hurricanes can cause severe damage, and sometimes these damages can take decades or scores of years to fix. In fact, there are some today that are still reeling from the repercussions of the dreadful Hurricane Gilbert in September 1988. The severity of these hurricanes is seen mostly in areas that lack proper urban planning and infrastructural development. Not every tree we must cut down. Not everywhere we should put a house. And not everywhere we should build a road. In some instances, we dig up anywhere for the sake of pleasure, economic benefits, and beautification. These are the sins we commit that leave us in our captivity of flooding, drought, landslide, and breakaways. Even in the least touted and continental landscape of Antarctica, natural disasters are imminent. The land space experiences snow sliding from the mountain ridges. This is called what my high school students, the avalanche. In the same land, there is also unexpected and severe scorching eruption of volcanoes. It is also not common in these areas of Antarctica to experience what is called a glacier. In very simple terms, the glacier is simply melting ice rushing from the mountain sides that cause streams of rivers of icy waters at the bottom. It forms lakes, and if you walk on it, it might appear you're walking on ice, but just beneath that small centimeter is water. Yes, while Antarctica does not have citizens or is operated by a governmental official, it stands as a research station for many scientists majoring in climatic studies. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, satellites indicates that in 2002 to 2018, Antarctica shed approximately 125 gigatons of ice per year, causing global sea level to rise by 0.35% per year. In simple terms, Antarctica is melting and the seas are rising. The images presented by these professions, taken from the NASA website, suggest that the waters around the cold area of Antarctica is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. These indicators force governmental officials from the populated areas to come up with climate resilience activities to aid in the security and the preservation of the ozone layer and the entire atmospheric condition. In our very own Jamaica, though hard to adjust to, we have made steps in the right direction where climate resilience is concerned with the ban of single-use plastics. The simple message to reduce from all of this is that climate change is the responsibility of every individual. Am I talking to you, Brother Dwayne Livermore? We have a responsibility to manage our waste effectively and our activities in such a way that there will be minimal damage to our atmosphere. Therefore, we are now suffering somewhat because of how our foreparents treated the earth 200 to 300 years ago. And should Christ delay his return a little longer, my great-great-grandchildren will face the cumulative consequences of my actions and the actions of my foreparents. The truth of the matter is that our spirituality is as real as climate change. Climate change requires all of us to take part in the interest of its preservation. nation. Likewise, it is the role of every citizen of Israel to act in such a way to preserve their spiritual, governmental, and physical structure. It is our understanding that Nehemiah recalled the children of Israel that they have sinned against God and have dealt very corruptly against Him. They have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments which God has commanded the servant Moses. This inherently has affected the changes in the so-called climatic conditions which led to a Babylonian captivity and the destruction of Judah and particularly Jerusalem. We are reminded, sisters and brothers, that by this historical fact that we sleep in the bed that we spread, that we receive what we work for, and that no sin go unpunished, and every action cause a reaction. Thus Nehemiah's reaction to Israel's sin is consecration. This is the fact that true eradication of sin begins with the identification of sin. Without honest observation, sincere confession, there can be no true conversion and effective annihilation of sin. Can I say it again? True eradication of sin begins with the identification of sin. Without honest observation, sincere confession, there can be no true conversion and effective annihilation of sin. I hear the word of God say, if we confess our sins to Him, He is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins. Come on, the church of God. The story of the building of the wall did not start in Nehemiah chapter 1, but it started from Ezra. In fact, in Ezra chapter 4, 6 to 23, we see that some 25 years before, they tried to rebuild the wall that they were stopped by their enemies. No one thought that this obstacle of rebuilding the wall was possible. They didn't think they could overcome it. They had given up every hope. When the children returned back to the Persian land, they gave up hopes at building the wall. The book of Ezra helps us also to understand that the Persian kings, heathen as they were kind to the Hebrews. Come on, church of God. Ezra's book in the very early years was canonized as the book that was joined with Nehemiah. It outlines several things that are important for us to study. The beginning of the book of Ezra shows us that as bound as we are, we shall be loosed. It doesn't matter how bound you are, you can be loosed. It doesn't matter how long you are bound, you can be loosed. Bondage is not forever. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, it might seem that I'm not going anywhere now. It might seem that my darkest days will never end. But bondage does not last forever. Tell your neighbor, it's time to rebuild. But bondage does not last forever. It might seem that I'm in the darkest valley, and I seem weak and as though I cannot come up on the mountain. But bondage does not last forever. It might take 400 years, like the children of Israel in the land of Egypt. But Moses is on the rise. Your Israel may be demolished, but Jesus is on the rise. of the living God, that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because it has anointed me to preach good tidings to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captive, and to open up prison bars to them that are bound. I hear that was spoken in Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 1. But when I look down into the New Testament, when Jesus stepped into the future, he said, today is this scripture fulfilled. Come on, talk to your neighbor. Answer neighbor. All I need for my relief is Jesus. All I need for my deliverance is Jesus. Tell somebody, Brother Sewell, or urge somebody with me to share my every Lord. I feel His presence near me. Everything. Can I talk to somebody here? That some trust in chariots, Lord God Almighty, some trust in horses, some trust in Malachi pan, some trust in goat blood, some trust in foul blood, some trust in warrior and iniquity, some trust in leather in the waist, some trust in parchment paper. But tell your neighbor, we shall remember the name of the Lord. For the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it, and they are saved. Come on, church of God. It's deliverance hour. But if God be for us, tell me who. Tell me who. Somebody push out your chest and say, if God be for us, push out your chest. Tell me who shall stand before us. Who can come against the will of God in my life? I said it's not by might, nor is it by power, but it's by the Spirit of the Lord. Oh, God Almighty, help me. Yes. So, for some 15 years, Reverend Dungy, after the records of Ezra, Nehemiah comes on the scene. The confidence in the book is without question. It was written in the first person. And the very first thing we hear, that the words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. In other words, the scripture is saying, I'm coming to you, not from what I heard about. I'm coming to you from a point of experience. I'm coming to you because of what I have been through. And I found that there are several things in this particular text that we must raise up. And the first thing we see in the text is the prevailing purpose. I want somebody to know this morning that purpose never dies. Purpose always wins. The road to winning is the pursuit of fulfillment of purpose. The road to winning is the pursuit of fulfilling purpose. True success is not simply to express your gifts and talents. True success is fulfilling the purpose for which you are called, for which you are created. I joy cometh in the morning. As a purpose may throw you in a pit, but it is sure to put you in a palace. From reading the book of Ezra chapter 1, the king of Persia, King Cyrus, released some Jews to go back and rebuild their city and to rebuild their temple. All my text says that Nehemiah was in the Persian palace. I found that in Ezra chapter 7. The same King Artaxerxes released another set of Jews. These were now the Levites to go back into Jerusalem with Ezra to teach the laws concerning Moses. But my text says the Hebrew Nehemiah was still under Persian king. He was still in a Persian society. There is absolutely, unequivocally, no doubt that Nehemiah's heart was in Jerusalem, but his body was in Persia. Anybody left behind? I wonder if anybody in the house, you're left behind. Your brother gone left you. Left behind. You should have fulfilled the degree a long time ago. Left behind. You should have been married 5 years ago. Left behind. You should have gone back to your promised land. But you're in a Persian king's palace. Lord God Almighty, we also understand that the text says my own very brother Hananiah went to Jerusalem, but Nehemiah was still in Persia. Arise to tell some believers today that if there is life in you, there is purpose to be fulfilled. Be not dismayed. I wonder if I had some senior people upon this youth Sunday to reach to a young set of people. Lord God, and touch your hand over them and say, be not dismayed. What here betide? God will take care of you. Under his wings, I love abide. God will take care of you. It may seem dark now, but you're coming up on the real side of the mountain. It may appear that you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death, but surely goodness and mercy shall follow you. Can I tell somebody, fret not yourself because of evildoers? Can I preach in the house? I feel my helper coming to me now, because somebody must understand it's not always in the valley. I'm only passing through. Lord God Almighty, I'm only coming through the valley. I am not here to stay. It has come to pass. For many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivered them. Can I talk to somebody in the house? You might feel rejected. You might feel rejected. You might feel abandoned. You might feel in bondage. But this will not last forever. There's a year of jubilee. There's a year of deliverance. There's a year of breakthrough. There's Yet, will I trust him in my appointed time? Gonna wait until my chance comes. But then I wait upon the Lord. Share of you. Be a strength. Somebody the mountain. Wait for me. Run. And not be weary. Walk. And not fear. It shall not be forever. It shall not be forever. And the flowers still. It's the warrior's will. For the big house. Lord God Almighty. Watch out for them. Deliverance is coming. Hold on. Don't just stop talking over here. I want to tell some young people in the house. Hold on. Hold on. Come on, turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor. Nobody give up. Nobody showing the trouble. There's a Nehemiah on the way. There's a Nehemiah. Lord God. I wish I had some people who's a part of the remnant. Lord God, this up. I said 3 million people left Israel, went into Babylon, and the siege. But only 50,000 left, just about 2%. But can I tell you, there is a remnant coming up. There's a remnant. There's a seed of righteousness about to burst forth. There's a seed of prosperity. There's a seed of peace. A seed of power that is about to be released. Nehemiah was. We understand the text. We soon get to the purpose. Bear with me, we in fasting, Sister Beth. Nehemiah was what we call the king's cupbearer. The position of cupbearer is usually given to an extremely high-ranking officer, high-ranking officer in the royal courts. This position is a position of trust and confidence. The cupbearer, my friend, must be friends with the king. If he's a cupbearer for the king, he must be the king's best friend. But not only that, there's something important for us to understand, that the cupbearer must also be friends with everybody else who the king might not be friends with, just in case they want to kill the king. They will consider Nehemiah's life, because the cupbearer had to serve the wine. Lord God Almighty, the cupbearer had to come, Sister Green, and pour out the wine. And not only that, but sometimes this cupbearer had to be the one that served the food. They didn't only serve it, my young people. Lord God, Sister Shereen, the cupbearer had to take time also to eat it first, just to ensure that it is quite fine and it is okay. Can I just get a little deeper here? It's not just to find out if the king is going to die by poisoning, but it's also to taste the king's pleasure, which means that Nehemiah must understand what the king likes. It must not to be sweet, not too salt. It must not to be sour. It must be just right. It must be not too strong to knock him out, but just enough to keep him merry. It got to be just right. And therefore, in the presence of a heathen king, God set up his own servant Nehemiah, which means they're nine musicians. That Nehemiah is the protector of the king's life. In other words, if Nehemiah was not there, the king is prone to die. If the servant of God is not present, the king is prone to die. Can I tell the church that your life must be a light that gives light to that we are living so pure that our life is causing the life of the world. We should not be running down jazz and blues, R&B and pop. We should not be running down all those secular artists, but we must be the life of the party. Come on, church of God. We are the guardian of the life of the kingdom. The kingdom depends on us. I said the kingdom depends heavily on you. That's why Chronicles says, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then when I hear from heaven, I will forgive their sins and heal their lands. How gracious and strategic is our God, that in a heathen society, his interest is represented at the highest level. Don't be fooled. God has your interest at heart. Can I tell somebody who is wondering today? Do not be fooled. God has your interest at heart. He is present among your worst enemies. Can I tell the church that the very person that hold you hostage and hold you bound, God is in the midst of it, and nothing that he wants to do, or everything that he wants to do, has to pass through God first. So if God let me have it, there is purpose in it. Can I tell the church, hold your ground, stand your ground, don't give up, hold the fort, for I am coming. Jesus signal still, we are the answer, back to heaven, by thy grace, we will. Can I tell the church, he's prepared a table before me, in the presence of your enemies. While you're in the midst of the enemy, God is right there. Midst of the persecution, God is right there. Nehemiah was in the Persian Empire as a cupbearer, but the cupbearer, though dangerous the position, it led him into the room of diplomatic negotiations that are taking place between kings and kings. It led him into the situation room, and God showed him in there how to plan and to execute national building, nation building strategy. God led him into the position of cupbearer, left him in Persia for him to learn how to handle a country and be the governor of a country. Can I tell somebody who is going through a dark time, don't think it too dark. It may seem like JPS, cut it off. It might seem like an island-wide blackout. It might seem like an eclipse. It might seem like when the year started, when there was no moon to be seen, there's no light by night. It might seem as if you can't make it. It might seem like tickles and torn. It might seem that everybody in your age group is getting ahead of you. It might seem that you want to be used, but somehow you're not being picked. It might seem that you have everything to give, but nobody showed you the opportunity. Stay in your corner, stay and learn, because down on my knees, when sunrise, I talk to Jesus. Down on my knees, perhaps what I need is a little more humility. Perhaps what I need is a little more faith. Perhaps what I need is a little more patience. Come on, church of God. If God doesn't say move, stay in the land. If God don't send you out yet, stay there. If God don't command you to go, stay where you are put. Stay in your position. Because promotion does not come from the east, nor from the west, but it comes from the Lord, which made the heavens and the earth. Stay. I hear a man keep seem dark, but it won't be too desperate before God deliver. It might seem cloudy, but it won't be too cross until God comes to deliver. God shall help her. Come on, tell the neighbor, God. Shout in your neighbor ears. Say, God shall help her. And that right early, I said, I feel, and I'm mighty in the house. I feel like the men, I share the studio. I know tomorrow, you shall have help. I know tomorrow, help is on the way. Help. Somebody help me to help. Help is on the way. The walls are torn down, but help is on the way. The walls he do, but help is on the way. Everybody, including your manager, don't like you, but help is on the way. Everybody in your community despise you,